Good morning, my dear children. Welcome to St. Michael's e-learning classes. My name is Francis sir, and today we will be studying chapter number 4 of Social Science for Standard 4. And the name of the chapter is The Northern Mountains and the Northern Plains. In our last class, my dear children, we had studied about the 6 physical divisions of India, from which the first two are the Northern Mountains and the Northern Plains. So we'll study about these two physical divisions of India in this chapter. Let's begin. The Northern Mountains. Mountains are areas of land that have risen high above the surrounding areas. Temperature falls with increase in height. Therefore, mountainous regions have a cool climate. In case of very high mountains, peaks remain covered with snow around the year. So, what are mountains, my dear children? Mountains are areas of land that have risen high above the surrounding areas, and the temperature falls with increase in height. So, when we go a little high, the temperature falls and we feel very cold. Therefore, mountainous regions have a very cool climate. In case of very high mountains, the peaks, it remains covered with snow throughout the year. The northern boundary of the country is covered by mountains. They are known as the Northern Mountains. So the northern boundary of our country, it is fully covered with mountains, and they are called the Northern Mountains. Now they include the Himalayas, Karakoram, and some hill ranges in the northeast. Let's see the Himalaya mountains now. The Himalayas is a majestic mountain range. It is the highest and one of the longest mountain ranges in the world. It extends for about 2400 km from east to west, and its width varies from 400 km in Kashmir to 150 km in the northeast. In India, it stretches in a curve from Jammu and Kashmir in the west to Arunachal Pradesh in the east. So the Himalayas, what is the Himalayas? They are a majestic mountain range, or it is a huge mountain range. It is one of the highest and one of the longest mountain ranges in the world, and it extends for about 2400 km from east to west, and its width varies from 400 km in Kashmir to 150 km northeast. So it's a huge area. In India, it stretches in a curve from Jammu and Kashmir in the west to Arunachal Pradesh in the east, thus separating India and China through a natural boundary. So the Himalayas, it separates India and China through a natural boundary. Now we have some of the highest peaks in the world, as you can see in the table where my finger is getting pointed. The first is the Everest. The altitude is 8,848 meter and its location is in Nepal. The second is K2. The altitude is 8,611 meters. It's in Pakistan. And the third is the Kanchenjunga. The altitude is 8,586 meter and it's in India. The Himalayas are divided into 3 parallel ranges. So when we come to the different parallel ranges of the Himalayas, we can divide it into 3 parallel ranges. The first is the Greater Himalayas, which we call Himadri. Then we come to the Middle or Lesser Himalayas, which we call Himachal. And the third is the Outer Himalayas, which we call Shivaliks. The Greater Himalayas, called Himadri, has an average height of 6,000 meter and is the highest range in the Himalayas. The Middle or Lesser Himalayas, called Himachal, lies to the south of the Himadri and has an average height of 3,700 meter to 4,500 meter. The Outer Himalayas, or the southernmost range of the Himalayas, are known as the Shivaliks. The average height here is from 900 to 1200 meter. Now let's see the Greater Himalayas. The Greater Himalayas or Himadri is the northernmost and the highest range of the Himalayas. The peaks are permanently covered with snow. Mount Everest, the highest peak in the world, lies in this range in Nepal. Kanchenjunga, Nanda Devi and Nanga Parbat are the highest peaks of the Greater Himalayas in India. So the Greater Himalayas or Himadri, it is in the northernmost and it is the highest range of the Himalayas. The peaks are almost covered with snow throughout the year. Mount Everest is the highest peak, which is lying in this range in Nepal, and some of the highest peaks of the Greater Himalayas are Kanchenjunga, Nanga Parbat and Nanda Devi. The temperature remains very low throughout the year and cultivation not possible at such a height. Thus, this area is not fit for human settlement. Now, because of very low temperature, cultivation is not at all possible. That's why people are not able to stay and settle in the greater Himalayas. Now, let's see the middle or the lesser Himalayas. This range lies between the Himadri and the Shivaliks range. So, the middle or lesser Himalayas, it lies between the Himadri and the Shivaliks ranges. The mountains here are not as high and the temperature are not as low in the Himalaya in the Himadri range. So, the mountains here are not very high and the temperatures are not very low as in Himadri range. Rohtang Pass is a high mountain pass in this range that connects the Kulu Valley with the Lahaul and Spiti valleys of Himachal Pradesh. So, Rohtang Pass is a very high mountain pass. It connects the Kulu Valley with the Lahaul and the Spiti valleys of Himachal Pradesh. This range has cold winters and mild summers. So, this particular range, it has cold winters and suitable summers. The mountain slopes are covered by dense forests of pine, oak, deodar and fir, which provides forest products like wood, fodder and fuel. So in this particular range, the mountain slopes are covered by dense forest filled with trees like pine, oak, deodar and fir. And from these trees we get products like wood, fodder and fuel. The hill slopes are used for practicing terrace farming. So the hill slopes are used for practicing terrace farming. Now what is terrace farming? As you can see in the lookup, the terrace farming means farming practiced on slopes that have been cut into steps. In other words, when we have slopes which has been cut into steps, which we call in Hindi sidi, and we use it for farming, it is known as terrace farming. Now, as you can see in this particular picture where my finger is getting pointed, the terrace farming is practiced in the Himalayas. So this is terrace farming. Fruit orchards and tree plantations are present in this region. Therefore, unlike the greater Himalayas, the lesser Himalayas are well populated. So, fruit orchards and tree plantations are also practiced in this region. Therefore, unlike the greater Himalayas, the lesser Himalayas are very well populated. Cultivation is possible and people are able to live in this particular range, that is the middle or lesser Himalayas. Many popular valleys like valleys of Kullu, Kangra and Kashmir are hills and hill stations like Mussoorie, Shimla, Nainital and Darjeeling are located in this region. So in the middle or lesser Himalayas, we have some nice valleys such as Kullu, Kangra and Kashmir, and hill stations also like Mussoorie, Shimla, Nainital and Darjeeling. Now let's see the lower Himalayas. The Shivaliks or the outer Himalayas is the southernmost and the lowest range of the Himalayas. So the southernmost and the lowest range of the Himalayas are the lower Himalayas or Shivaliks. For example, Dehradun. Now let's see what do you mean by Shivaliks. Shivaliks is known for the presence of special scenic valleys called duns. Now what are duns? They are special scenic valleys. So Shivalik is known for the presence of special scenic valleys called duns. For example, Dehradun, Patti Dun, Kotri Dun and Pinjor Dun, they are all examples of duns. The hills in this region are covered with dense forest and inhabited by rich wildlife. So the hills in this particular region, they are covered with dense forest and they are inhabited by that is they are filled with rich wildlife. Its slopes are used for cattle rearing and growing crops like rice, potato and maize. So its slopes are used for cattle rearing, that is, now what do you mean rearing? Rearing means where the animals are kept and grown. So its slopes are used for cattle rearing and also for growing crops such as rice, potato and maize. In North India, this range marks the end of mountains and the beginning of plains. So, in North India, the Shivalik range marks the end of the mountains and the beginning of plains. In between them lies the Terai, which is a dense marshy land. Crops like rice, wheat and sugarcane are mainly cultivated here. So, in between them, we have the Terai. Now, what is the Terai? It is a dense marshy land and crops are grown here such as rice, wheat and sugarcane. Now we come to a very important section of this chapter, that is the importance of Himalayas. Why Himalayas is very important for us. Let's study it. The Himalayas acted as a natural barrier against foreign invaders in the past. Historically, it has prevented unfriendly arrivals and attacks from the other side of the mountains. So the first important of Himalayas is the Himalayas acts as a natural barrier. Now what do you mean by barrier, my dear children? A barrier means a wall, with a type of wall which is used for protection. Now because the Himalayas are very much high, they act as a natural wall against foreign invaders, those who come to attack a country. In the past, whenever any foreign invaders wanted to attack a country, India, the Himalayas have acted as a natural wall. Historically, it has prevented unfriendly arrivals and attack from other side of the mountains. So from the other side of the mountains, if any foreign invaders wanted to attack a country, Himalayas have prevented them and it has stopped them from attacking us. It forms a natural boundary between India and neighbors like China. Yes, it forms a natural boundary between India and neighbors like China. It protects our country from the cold winds of the north. Yes, it also protects our country from the cold winds of the north. Then it prevents the rain-bearing winds from leaving the country. This results in heavy rainfall in India. Yes, that is also right. One of the importance of Himalayas is it prevents the rain-bearing countries from going away from our country. It stops the rain-bearing winds from leaving the country, and that's why we have heavy rainfall in India, which is very much important and necessary. Then the melting snow of the Himalayas give rise to some of the major rivers like the Ganga and the Yamuna. Yes, because of the melting snow of the Himalayas, it gives rise or it helps to make some of the major rivers like the Ganga and the Yamuna. These rivers are called perennial rivers because they have water throughout the year. Now, what do you mean by perennial rivers, my dear children? Perennial rivers means these are those rivers which have water throughout the year. So, Himalayas helps in making these rivers get water throughout the year. Many valuable products like timber, resin, medicine, etc. are obtained from the forest in this mountain range. Yes, one of the important of Himalayas is it provides many valuable products like timber, resin, medicines. They are obtained from the forest in this mountain range. Last we come to, it also sustain a very rich variety of plants and animals which is not seen in other parts of the world. The forests of the Himalayas are home to many animals such as yaks, goats, snow leopards, musk deer and wild sheep. So the last importance of Himalayas is that we have a rich variety of plants and animals which is not seen anywhere in the world except in our country, India. The forests of Himalayas are home to many animals such as yaks, goats, snow leopards, musk deer and wild sheep. So Himalayas provide a rich variety of plants, my dear children, and animals also, which is not seen anywhere in the world. Then we come to the life in the Himalayas. Life is somewhat difficult in the mountains. Many places still do not have proper roads and connectivity to the outside world. Sheep rearing is practiced by the people in this region. Fruits and a few crops are grown as a means of livelihood. Many people are part of the cottage industry, that is wood carving, weaving of carpets, making woolen clothes, etc. Fruits like apple, orange, peach and plum are grown and sold. During winters, people have to adjust to the harsh weather conditions. Some of the Indian regions situated in the Himalayas are Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. So my dear children, we see that in the life in the Himalayas are very difficult because many places they do not have proper roads, so the connectivity is not there. People are not able to travel from one place to another in the Himalayas. Sheep rearing is practiced by the people in this region. Fruits and a few crops are grown here by the people so as to earn their living. And people are also part of the cottage industry, that is wood carving, weaving of carpets, then woolen clothes. Fruits like apple, orange, peach and plum are also grown here. So during winters, people have to adjust to the harsh conditions. So during winters, my dear children, life is very much difficult and people have to adjust to the very bad weather conditions during winters. Some of the Indian regions situated in Himalayas are Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, and Arunachal Pradesh. So these are some of the important Indian regions which are situated in the Himalayas. So my dear children, we will stop here as for today. In our next class, we will begin with the second part of the chapter, that is the northern plains, as you can see in where my finger is getting pointed. So we will stop till here, that is life in the Himalayas. For homework, please revise and understand this particular chapter, and in the next class we will begin with the northern plains. Thank you.